Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those that are new here, hello, my name is Alicia. So me and my husband Jaden live here in New Zealand on a 10-acre property where we rear calves in autumn and spring on quite a small scale. So at the moment I've been making a calf rearing series, which is really exciting, so I can share all my knowledge about calf rearing with everybody. So I've been rearing calves since I was about 13 and now 27, so I have a lot of knowledge and experience when it comes to this. So in today's video we're going to be talking all things feeding equipment. So I'm going to show you what kinds of milk feeders we use, the fence feeders and also the trailer feeder, and I'm also going to be showing you all our meal feeders as well. Please check out my other episode that I made on setting up the calf shed. This is our small calf shed behind me. We are actually in the process of building a much larger calf shed. Hopefully it's ready by spring, so definitely stay tuned for that one. So anyways, I hope you enjoy this video and let's get into it. So before I get into why we use this type of feeder in teats, we've just got to set them all up first. So I've grabbed all these feeders out of the shed, given them a really good scrub down, spray them all with disinfectant, and now we're ready to screw on the teats and the caps on this feeder behind me. So what we'll do is we'll grab our milk bar cap, which looks like that. Make sure it's got a rubber in the back to make sure it doesn't leak. We'll grab one of our teats. We use the brand called Big Softy. So you just make sure you rip off that tag. Place the teat through the hole in the cap. And then you pull it quite firmly. Now you can use pliers for this, it is probably easier. But this way it works just fine. You know when you've popped it through, you can hear it, you can actually hear it when it pops through. And then you want to screw it onto the thread of your calf feeder. Make sure that you don't cross thread it and make sure you screw it on quite tight. So yeah, just make sure before you feed your calves that all the teats are facing the right way and also top on the top of them. If you do notice a calf really slow and the milk's just not going down, then that could be a reason why. It could be facing sideways and it's not coming up properly. As you can see, it reads top. So we've set up this feeder, but the teats aren't all facing top. So what you do is you just twist them to make sure they all are saying top. Now you can see that they all are saying top.
Top, top, top.
That's right, they're all saying top. Alright, now moving on to why we use these particular feeders. So when we first get our calves, they're around 4 days old and we'll put them straight on these compartment feeders. When they're around 3 weeks old and are outside, we will then put them on a large trailer feeder, which I'll show you shortly. So the reasons why we use these compartment feeders is pretty simple. Each teat has a compartment to make sure that calves are getting the correct amount of milk. So obviously if you use a single compartment feeder, you don't really know how much milk these calves are getting, which can lead your calves to having like a stunted growth and not doing so well. Also open compartment feeders are a pain if you're feeding your calves in the paddock. If you have a slight lean in your paddock and you're putting that fence feeder on that, all the milk can go to drift to one end and then the calves at the top end of the feeder won't really get much milk. So the brand of these feeders are from Stallion. Apart from its really good durability, I also love the handles on the back. So you've probably seen different calf feeders have those plastic welded handles. The benefit of these ones is that they can fit on a larger rail, like your 150 by 50 rails. So yeah, I definitely recommend going for the Stallion. Just one issue with these compartment feeders is obviously there's much stronger calves that drink a lot quicker. So it does become a bit of a battle at the end of the feed when the stronger ones are finished and you've got the young ones that are still trying to drink their milk. So yeah, just try and put the strong ones like on your fingers when you're finished. Just try and occupy all the ones that are finished. And yeah, it's not forever, it's only the first couple of weeks that you have them. Now when we do use these compartment feeders, you can tell which are your healthy, stronger calves and which are your weaker ones. So you wouldn't go putting the calves that don't feed very well on these feeders out onto your bigger feeder, because the bigger feeders are all open compartments. And if they're not drinking that well on these feeders, then obviously they're not going to do too great outside on the larger feeder. Now let's talk about what teats we use. So we use teats called big softy teats. These teats don't have a valve in them like other brands of teats such as peach teats. In the past I did use teats with a valve, which lead to a lot of scouring, because actually when the calf is drinking the milk really quickly, the milk can actually bypass the stomach and go into the rumen, which leads to scouring and all sorts of problems. So these teats imitate the cow's teat, and it's a lot harder for the calves to drink. So it's actually good that it's a lot harder for the calves to drink and it takes more time, because obviously it makes more saliva and it actually keeps the calves satisfied. So when we did use the valve teats, we noticed after the calves were all fed, they were still continuing to suck on all the other calves because they weren't satisfied with their feed. So there is one exception when we do use the valve teats, and that is for sick and unwell calves. So we will use a bottle like this with a peach teat on it. That's because when calves are sick and unwell, they're quite weak and they don't have a very strong sucking reflex. So that's why we'll use the valve teat, because it will obviously deliver milk a lot easier and quicker for the calf. And at the end of the day, we just need that calf to get the milk into them. Alright, so up next is our trailer feeder. So we use a brand called Milk Bar for our trailer feeder, and this one behind me is a 50 teat feeder. So this feeder is great for when you have a big volume of calves, because unlike the fence feeders where you can only feed 10 to 12 at a time, you can obviously put a lot more calves on a feeder of this size. I'll show you the feeder more closely in a minute. Bear in mind, no, I have not cleaned it yet, so it is not in the best state, but we haven't got calves outside yet, so I will get onto that in the next few weeks. So as you can see, it is an open compartment feeder, which makes it really easy for cleaning. There is other trailer feeders out there like this one with the closed compartment. Although the closed compartment is better for when you are feeding your calves on hills and stuff, it's not that great to clean, which is why we went with this one. So the only con to having the open side calf feeder like this is obviously when you're driving your quad bike, you can get mud flick into it. Also calves that are very smart learn to put their heads over the top and drink the milk from the top rather than the teat. And lastly, when you're feeding them in a paddock, if it's got a slight lean, it is a bit harder with a compartment feeder because the milk can all go to the back or the front or side by side. But to help this, they do actually have a level. So you can see it here. When you get to where you need to feed them, you can actually level the feeder by just turning that around, and it will bring this front of the feeder up or down or however you want it. But you can't level it sideways, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the only thing about this kind of feeder that is the negative. Now they say that this is a 50 teat feeder, although I've never been able to fit 50 calves on it. Obviously the bigger the calves get, the more room they take up and they can't quite fit. So I normally go with about 45 calves on a 50 teat feeder. People always ask me, but how do you know how much milk they're getting when they're on the open feeder and don't have compartments? But that's why, like I said before, we start them off on those compartment feeders, and they definitely don't go out onto this feeder until they are very strong feeders and they are all kind of drinking at the same time. So if we have a calf that is struggling on the feeder, on the compartment feeders, obviously we can tell because the milk isn't going down as quick as the other calves. So we just won't put that one outside until it's feeding a lot better. These feeders are a lot of fun to get out of the paddock with. As you can imagine, there's a mob of 45 calves all around you when they're finished feeding, and they're all looking for that mum, the big mum. So you've really got to gun it when you're going out of the paddock. Like, there's a bit of a technique. You kind of got to go a bit slow so all the calves kind of come off the teats, and then you kind of just got to boost it. Do a few circles of the paddock. Like, do whatever you can to get out of the paddock. But yeah, that's the one annoying thing with having these calf feeders, is getting out that gate. If any calf rearers are watching this video, if you've got any tips how to get that feeder out of the out of the gate with all those calves not chasing you, then please let me know, because that's one thing I struggle with, especially having smaller paddocks on this lifestyle block. I think it would be a lot easier if you had a bigger paddock, because obviously you can probably outrun the calves and be able to get out that gate. But yeah, having smaller paddocks does definitely make it a little bit harder to get out that gate. So now I'll just quickly show you what it looks like. I know a lot of people from America have actually never seen this kind of feeder, because I have been getting a lot of messages about it. So many people have them in New Zealand, so I kind of just assumed that everyone had them. But if you haven't seen them, pretty much you've got a tank on the top, and then you've got these two big open side feeders with 25 teats on each. You've got 2 taps on the front. So this tank can hold 500 litres, so you just open that lid, put your milk in, fill it up to however much you need, and when you get out to the paddock you just open up these taps. So they're open now, so that's shut. So yeah, you just open up your tap, the milk would come out. Definitely make sure you do the bungs up underneath. I definitely have done that before. That's like a biggie. Make sure these two are done up tight before you let that milk out, because yeah, otherwise you'll just lose all your milk on the ground. So yeah, pretty much fill that up, open those valves, fills all your the side thingies up, and then you use this, which spins around like so, to level your calf feeder. We also have this bar on the drawbar, which stops the calves from going around the feeder, so they stay on their half. But in future we do want to put like a piece of plywood or something along it, just to make it a solid bit, because the calves in the past have actually put their leg through it and got caught in it a bit. So yeah, if you want to do this partition thingy, definitely have a solid one. We've also extended the drawbar just to make it easier to fit the calves when we've got it hooked up on the quad bike. So that's pretty much the trailer feeder. I don't have any footage with calves on that at the moment, because obviously we don't have our calves yet, but we are getting them very soon. I have actually got a TikTok account where I made a few calf rearing videos last year, so I will put a couple of those videos in now, so you can see what it looks like when it has calves on it. Milk feeders, moving on to what meal feeders we use. So this is my favourite meal feeder that we're using at the moment, and it's a McKee brand. So the reason I like this is, one, it's on skids, so when calves are feeding in here they usually make a big mud area around it, so it's easy just to hook it up to a quad bike and move it around the paddock. The other thing I like about it is you can also put hay inside of it. It's got a rack, which I'll show you shortly, that you can put a whole bale of hay in, and also it fits probably a couple bags of meal in as well. It is also really good and protects the meal and the hay from the rain. One downside to this feeder is obviously the birds can access the feed really easily, so to avoid this we pretty much just put in the feed that the calves will eat, and generally the calves eat everything that we put in there, so this hasn't really become an issue for us. So here's what it looks like up close. Inside it's got that hay rack, and how you access that is you, on this side, you undo these pins. There's 2 pins, and then that will drop down, and then this here will drop down so you can fill it up with hay. Once you put your hay in, you pop these metal bits back up and put that pin back through. It's also got a bung in the bottom, so if it does get water in it, you can empty that out. But yeah, we've also got a few of these troughs for outside. Just really basic, but so handy to have just when you've got a few more calves in the paddock and you just need some more feeders to feed them with. This is on skids too, but it is really light, so we've never really used this. We just throw it around paddock to paddock. Oh, we've got to crouch down for this one. The last outdoor meal feeder that we use is this cone feeder, which is also from McKee Plastic. This one's good because you can fit a lot more meal in it. Obviously because it's in the cone, it protects all the meal from the rain. The one thing about this feeder is that it can become top heavy and fall over. The calves knock it over quite easily. Even when you use the skids and tow it around, sometimes it will flip over, so just be aware of that. You can also buy bird skirts for them as well to stop the birds eating it and to help with the rain as well. So I also haven't cleaned this one yet. God, I've got a lot of cleaning to do, don't I? So you can actually get two sizes. This one's the 50 kilo and I think you can get a 70 kg one. But inside it's got this mechanism if you want to change the height. So if you can see down here, there's this gap down here that the rate that the meal falls out. So obviously the higher it is, the more meal that can come out. So you do it with this, oh, I won't be able to do it while I hold the camera, but you lift this up and pop that pin in, and there's a few holes to how high that you want it. So yeah, that's real handy to have on this type of feeder. So yeah, that's pretty much the 3 outside meal feeders that we use. Now we'll go back into the calf shed and I'll just quickly show you a couple of the feeders that we use for inside the calf pens. Alright, so start off with the waterer. Nothing much to say about it. It's Stallion. It is actually automatic and it's got a float, but because we haven't set our calf shed up yet, it's not hooked up, but we will still use it. The good thing about this is it's small in size, which is what you want. You kind of just want a waterer that the calves can just put their face in. If it's too big and has a big surface area, then you're probably going to get an issue with calves pooing in it. And also if they do poo in it, by it being a small and easy thing to handle, makes it easier to clean it out. Because you can just pick it up, chuck it over the fence, wash it a little bit and fill it up again. If you've got a big trough, that can be a bit of a pain when you've got to be constantly cleaning it out. We use these feeders, I think the brand's McKee. You can choose to have a bung in or out, but I just use these little feeders for their meal. Once again, small surface area so they can't poo in it as easily, and small surface area so it's easy to just grab and wash it. Now for the big pile of mess, we also use these ones here. These are the milk bar snack bar feeders, which are really, really good. Only issue is they have these plastic welded handles, so the thickness in there isn't very thick, so they actually can't fit on my rails in the pen that we've got here. So these are good for if you're just hooking them on gates, but yeah, they're not thick enough to hook onto a standard rail, so that's the only pain when it comes to those ones. That pretty much wraps up this video, episode 2 of my calf rearing series. I hope that everyone here watching was able to learn a thing or two about feeding equipment, and I hope that you can use it in your calf rearing operation. Now definitely subscribe to see my episode 3, which will be coming really, really soon. I will take you to the sale yards with me, and we're going to be looking at selecting calves, what we look for, also all about transporting calves, and also about what we do once we get the calves home. So definitely stay tuned and don't miss that one. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.